The story begins around 1,100 years ago, when King Eärendil and his brother, Fjoller, were returning home after a victorious battle. Eärendil greeted his wife Gudrun and his son Amleth, to whom he presented a special necklace he had earned by defeating a prince in combat. Fjoller also reunited with his son Thor. After the family gatherings, Eärendil spent a quiet moment alone with Gudrun. He spoke of his wounds and assured her that he would not die anytime soon, for he wished to meet his end on the battlefield, fighting as a true warrior. Still, he wished to prepare his son Amleth for what lay ahead. That very night, Eärendil took Amleth to the temple, where a sacred ritual would be performed according to their tradition, marking the passage from boyhood into manhood. All of this took place under the watchful eye of Hymir. During the ritual, they both awakened the wolves within themselves. Eärendil spoke to Amleth about their family legacy, and made him vow to always live an honorable life, and to avenge his father's death at any cost. Afterward, Hymir presented Amleth with a special potion. Upon drinking it, Amleth began to experience strange and vivid visions. When he touched his father's wounds, Amleth saw the spirits of all his ancestors. After some time, once the ritual was complete, they stepped out, and suddenly masked warriors ambushed them. Amleth wanted to defend his father, but Eärendil told him to flee to save his life. Amleth ran and hid behind a large stone, forced to witness his father being struck by arrows, one after another. When the leader of the attackers removed his mask, Amleth was stunned to see it was none other than Eärendil's brother, Fjoller, who had slain his own brother to claim the throne. Fjoller then sent his men to capture Amleth, who had fled into the forest. A man named Venus caught him briefly, but Amleth managed to escape by cutting off Venus's nose. After some time, when Amleth returned to his village, he found Fjoller's men slaughtering all of Eärendil's supporters one by one. Meanwhile, Fjoller had kidnapped his brother's wife, Gudrun. Venegas, unwilling for anyone to know he had been defeated by a child, lied to Fjoller, claiming that Amleth was dead. Amleth's world collapsed. He was devastated and broken inside. Determined to leave his past behind, he decided to move forward. He took a boat from the shore and sailed away, vowing to himself that he would avenge his father's death and rescue his mother. Many years passed. Amleth now lived among a Viking tribe in the land of Rus. He had abandoned his life as a prince and become a formidable warrior, living among Viking kings who thrived like raiders. They would raid villages, capturing the people, and selling them as slaves in distant lands. During one such attack, after conquering Gudkuri village, Amleth entered a temple and encountered Circe. She reminded him of the revenge he had promised himself, and assured him that he would succeed. But to do so, he first had to reach the village where Fjoller now ruled. Circe also revealed that he must follow a fox to find a special sword essential for completing his vengeance. Before vanishing, she explained that she was helping him because of his connection to the Maiden King, a truth he would understand in time. The next morning, Amleth discovered that the people he had captured from Gudkuri village were being sent to a man named Fjör. At the sound of the name, Amleth's attention sharpened, and he began asking questions to learn more about his enemy. He discovered that after Fjör had killed Eärendil, the king of Norway had attacked Fjoller just days later, forcing him to lose everything and flee to Iceland. At that moment, Amleth spotted a raven, and remembered that his father had been called the King of Ravens. He took it as a sign. He then cut his hair, donned the clothes of a slave, and even branded his chest with a slave's mark. Once ready, he boarded the ship transporting the enslaved people to Fjoller. On the ship, he met a woman named Olga, who claimed to be a sorceress and somehow recognized him as a Viking. Despite this, she treated him with kindness, and whenever his past haunted him, she offered comfort. During their journey, the ship was caught in a fierce storm. Yet despite all the hardships, they eventually reached Iceland. They arrived in Iceland, where Fjoller was already waiting. He captured them and brought them to his farm, where he lived with Thorir and his other son, Gunnar. Fjoller was disappointed by the weak-looking slaves, and considered sending them away. But Amleth was determined, not ready to give up now, so close to his goal. As Fjoller was about to dismiss them, Amleth struck the man beside him to demonstrate his strength, showing Fjoller that not all were weak. When Fjoller asked his name, Amleth gave a false one. Impressed by his power, Fjoller assigned Amleth and several others to the fields. He also selected some girls, though his attention seemed drawn to Olga. On his first night at the farm, Amleth attempted to steal a knife. Then he noticed a fox moving outside, just like the one Circe had spoken of in her prophecy. Amleth realized he was on the right path. The next day he performed the same work as the other slaves, which gave him the opportunity to enter Fjoller's house. There he was shocked to discover that his mother, Gudrun, was still alive, and that she had borne Fjolar's other son, Gunnar. That night, Amleth followed the fox to a cave, where he encountered a sorcerer. The sorcerer revealed a severed head, explaining that it was Haymar's, kept since Fjolar had killed him, and that he also knew Amleth's true identity. The sorcerer then performed a special spell, allowing Amleth to speak with Haymar's spirit, who recounted the story of the ancient sword Draugr. The sword could only be wielded at night. To claim it, Amleth would have to confront its guardian, the mound dweller, and to succeed he would need to trust in the light of the moon. Before he departed, the sorcerer warned Amleth that one day he would face a choice between the love of those dear to him and the hatred he bore for his enemies. Amleth then descended into a hidden pit, where he discovered the body of the dweller still clutching the sword. But the moment Amleth reached for it, the dweller sprang to life and attacked him. At that moment, Amleth remembered Haymar's words about the moonlight. He pushed the dweller into the moonlight, and as it fell upon him, the dweller bowed, giving Amleth the perfect opportunity to strike him down. But after killing the dweller, Amleth was startled to see himself still standing before the body. When he tried to lift the sword again, the dweller no longer resisted. Returning to the farm with the sword, Fjolar's dog began barking at him. To quiet it, Amleth growled back, which caused Fjolar to lose interest and leave without even glancing at him. Later, Fjolar went to Olga's room, intending to spend the night with her, but she told him she was on her period. Fjolar's mood ruined, he left. Outside, Amleth watched everything unfold and realized it was the perfect moment to strike. But the sun had begun to rise, meaning the sword could not be used. He hid it and slipped away quietly. The next day, Amleth confided in Olga about the sword. She immediately agreed to help him, willing to kill Fjolar as she also sought her freedom. However, Amleth explained that his goal was not only to kill Fjolar, but also to rescue his mother, Gudrun. She too was living quietly under Fjolar's control, enduring slavery to protect herself and her child. The next day, Fjolar took his children and some trusted slaves to the chieftain, where his men were set to play a special game. The game involved two teams of 5 men each, competing to capture a ball. Killing opponents was allowed during the match. As soon as the game began, chaos erupted, with all players attacking each other fiercely. In the end, only Amleth and a massive man remained. Meanwhile, Gunnar grew angry seeing Fjolar's team losing. He grabbed the ball and ran, but the large man lunged at him. Before the man could strike Gunnar down, Amleth intervened, attacking and killing him. During the celebrations that night, Thorotame congratulated Amleth, telling him that he would now enjoy certain privileges on the farm, like doing less work and giving orders to the other slaves. In addition, Amleth was allowed to choose a woman for himself. He could take Olga, as Fjolar no longer showed interest in her. Without hesitation, Amleth went into the forest with Olga, so they would not be disturbed. After spending some time expressing their love, Olga used her magic to call upon the earth for protection. She then found special mushrooms that would aid Amleth in completing his revenge. The next morning, they worked alongside the other slaves, but as soon as night fell, Amleth killed 2 of Gunnar's men with his sword and hung their bodies at a crossroads. The next morning, Gunnar was furious upon seeing this, convinced it was the work of Christians. Fjolar, however, disagreed and summoned the farm's priest to investigate. After examining the bodies, the priest declared that these were no ordinary wounds. Whoever had done this was driven by revenge and would strike again. To protect his family from the looming threat, the priest decided to sacrifice a girl to God that very night. While the priest prepared for the sacrifice, Amleth caused all the animals to make loud noises. Startled by the commotion, Fjolar's dog suddenly attacked him for no clear reason. Fjolar was forced to kill the dog. As everyone rushed out to investigate the noise, Amleth seized the opportunity. He entered the temple, freed the girl, killed the priest, and hung his body inside the temple. The next day, Amleth went into the kitchen and mixed the special mushrooms into the soup. Meanwhile, all the slaves were assigned to guard the farm. But under the influence of the mushrooms, everyone began seeing strange illusions and turned on one another. At the same time, Amleth, with Olga's help, entered the main house. There he found his mother, Gudrun, and revealed his true identity. Gudrun was glad to see him alive, but she held a secret that shook Amleth to his core. According to her, his father had actually purchased her as a slave, and she had never loved him. In fact, she had asked Fjolar to kill Eärvandal, so she could be with the man she truly loved. On the day of Eärvandal's murder, she hadn't screamed in fear. She had been laughing. Amleth was stunned. For a moment, he even considered killing her. But Gudrun said, "I know how much you love your mother. If you manage to kill Fjolar and Thor, I will accept you as my new king and together we can rule." As soon as she spoke, she kissed Amleth. It was a very strange moment, given that she was his own mother. But Amleth was not fooled by this twisted display of love. Without hesitation, he went straight to Thor's room and killed him in his bed. Afterward, he met Olga and told her everything. Now that Gudrun knew his true identity, he could no longer remain on the farm as a slave, so he hid in a secret location. The next morning, when Fjoller saw his son's lifeless body, he was furious. Gudrun revealed Amleth's true identity. Enraged by the revelation, Fjoller began killing the slaves one by one. But just as Olga was about to be struck, Amleth appeared. This time, he wore his prince's necklace, revealed his real name to Fjoller, and displayed the heart of his son, taken from Thor the night before. Seeing this, Fjoller's fury intensified even further. Fjoller ordered his men to attack Amleth. Now Amleth had to face the soldiers one by one. Amid the chaos, Olga managed to escape. Once she was gone, Amleth surrendered. Fjoller believed he had won, especially now that he thought he had recovered his son's heart. But Amleth said, "This isn't your son's heart, it's your dog's." Enraged, Fjoller tied Amleth up in a room and commanded that he be tortured. After beating him severely, Fjoller demanded to know the location of his son's real heart. Amleth refused to speak. Fjoller still had to perform Thor's last rites and did not want further delay, so he decided to deal with Amleth later. Before leaving, one of Fjoller's soldiers threw Amleth's sword into the room. Fjoller's men thought the sword useless, since it could not be drawn from its sheath. As soon as they left, several ravens appeared, accompanied by a strange man. Meanwhile, everyone on the farm was occupied with Thor's funeral. After some time, when they returned to finish off Amleth, they discovered he had vanished. Amleth was experiencing strange visions, feeling as if he were riding a horse guided by a Valkyrie. When he opened his eyes, he realized Olga had saved him. Now, Amleth felt that perhaps Olga was truly meant to be with him, and that he should escape with her. So they did exactly that. After riding horseback all day, they finally reached the seashore and were able to board a boat. Once aboard the boat, Amleth noticed a wound on Olga's neck, caused by Fjoller's dagger. When he touched it, he was suddenly flooded with visions of his ancestors. Through these visions, he realized that Olga would bear 2 children, one of whom was destined to become the Maiden King. This was wonderful news. Yet Amleth knew that as long as Fjoller lived, his children would never be safe. He recalled the sorcerer's warning about the choice he would face between hatred for his enemies and love for those he cared about. Amleth made his decision. He would return and kill Fjoller. As night fell, he went back to the farm, slaying the soldiers one by one. When he entered the main house, Gudrun attacked him. Amleth had no choice but to kill her. Then Gunnar struck from behind, but Amleth overpowered and killed him as well. Soon Fjoller arrived. Seeing the lifeless bodies of his family, he confronted Amleth, telling him to meet at the gate of Hell, a place called Volcano Hekla, where their final battle would be fought. Amleth had waited for this moment for many years. Despite being badly injured, he immediately set out for the volcano. Before leaving, he paused and looked around at the village ablaze, set on fire by the slaves. Finally, Amleth reached the volcano, where he and Fjoller engaged in a fierce and brutal battle. Because Amleth was already wounded, Fjoller began gaining the upper hand. But Amleth's anger transformed into power, and he fought back with full strength. In the end, both of them struck fatal blows, killing each other. As Amleth lay dying, he saw one final vision: Olga sitting peacefully with their 2 children before him. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.